After a year away, I returned to my own land, only to find two massive mansions built right on it. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. The place where I used to see open air, wild grass. And the old oak tree was now replaced with stone driveways, polished balconies, and fresh roofs that looked like they were finished only days ago. For a moment, I genuinely thought I was in the wrong place. I checked the boundaries, the land markers, the GPS on my phone. Everything said this was my land. My land that I inherited from my grandfather. The same land I had left under the care of a property manager while I worked abroad. I stood there in silence as the wind blew and the sinking realization spread through me. Someone had taken advantage of my absence. Someone thought I would never come back. I felt anger start to warm in my chest, but I kept steady. I wanted to understand first. So instead of rushing to knock on doors, I quietly walked around, taking pictures, recording proof, noting every detail. Because one thing about me, when something is mine, I don't let go easily. I headed to town to ask around, starting with the cafe where everyone talked about everything. The owner recognized me instantly and nearly dropped the cup in her hand. She told me that after I left, a local homeowners association was formed, an HOA I never agreed to, never signed for, and certainly never approved. According to rumor, the HOA claimed my land was abandoned and rezoned the area, allowing developers to build. And not just any developers, apparently. The HOA president's brother was a real estate investor. Things were starting to add up. I kept my face calm, but inside, I was calculating every step that needed to happen next. They thought I was gone. They thought they could rewrite my ownership like I was a ghost. They didn't realize that I kept every paper, every deed, every document, perfectly stored. And luckily, I had emailed copies to myself years ago, something my grandfather taught me before he passed. Trust no one when land is involved. By the time I walked out of that cafe, I already knew what I had to do, and I wasn't planning to knock politely anymore. I went to the county records office next. I needed official verification. The clerk on duty pulled up the parcel information, and I watched as her expression shifted from neutral to confused to slightly alarmed. "Your name is still the only owner listed," she said. "There's no transfer, no sale, no easement signed, no building permits tied to your signature." Exactly. That meant one thing. Everything built on my land was illegal, completely unauthorized, which meant I had full legal right to reclaim everything, including the structures. The county inspector who overheard came over, visibly irritated. Turns out he had been blocked repeatedly by the HOA from entering the property to verify construction. They had told him it was private association land. That was fraud stacked on fraud. He printed out copies of the violations and stamped them. The weight of those papers felt like pure power. I thanked him, walked out, and called a lawyer. The lawyer didn't even hesitate. "We're filing a cease and remove order first. Then we're going after damages." I could already see the downfall forming like storm clouds. When I finally approached the mansions, the HOA president stormed out like she owned the world. She pointed at me and said I was trespassing. I didn't say a word. I just handed her the stamped documents. Watching her confidence drain was almost poetic. She tried to argue, tried to claim I had signed something, tried to say the HOA had voted ownership. Transfer. Votes don't override the law. The lawyer I brought with me stepped forward and explained very clearly. Everything here belongs to me. The land, the buildings, the fixtures, the improvements, and every penny of unauthorized construction. Cost would be the problem of whoever funded it. Some residents began to panic. Some tried to blame the president. Some tried to claim ignorance. The real estate investor brother showed up yelling. But yelling doesn't change legal records. I didn't need to raise my voice. I just let the paperwork speak. Within weeks, the HOA began to collapse. Members quit. Meetings stopped. The president tried to countersue, but lost immediately because the property documents were iron solid. The county issued fines. The state opened an investigation. And the investor brother went silent when he learned he could face fraud charges. People started moving out of the mansions at night to avoid confrontation. But here's where things took a turn. Legally, since the buildings were built on my land without permission, I actually became the rightful owner of both mansions. Free, fully paid, completely mine. The lawyer confirmed it, the county confirmed it, and the final court order sealed it. 1 year away, and I returned to 2 luxury homes I never spent a penny on. Life has a sense of humor. I spent days walking through the mansions, examining every detail. Marble floors, walk-in closets, high ceilings, designer kitchens. It was surreal, almost like stepping into someone else's life. And yet, there was a bittersweet feeling too. My grandfather had warned me about greedy people circling land they didn't earn. He used to say, land isn't just property. It's memory. It's history. And people will always try to take what they didn't build. Standing in those echoing halls, I could feel him there with me. Not angry, just proud that I came back, that I defended what was ours. I sat out on the balcony one evening, just watching the sunset fall over the fields. Everything was quiet again. No HOA meetings. No fake authority. No lies masking themselves as rules. Eventually, I decided to restore the land around the houses to how it used to be, but better. I planted trees. I refurbished the fence line. I tore down the big HOA sign and burned it. Neighbors came by to apologize. Not all, but some. And I accepted, because anger might win battles, but dignity wins final peace. I didn't throw anyone out violently. I didn't gloat. I just reminded them that land has owners, that law has order, and that respect is not optional. People learned from what happened. The county started monitoring HOAs more closely. Developers became more careful, and the rumor of what happened to the man who came back spread farther than I expected. It became a quiet warning to anyone planning to take advantage of absence. And me? I moved back into the land I always loved. I kept one mansion for myself and turned the other into a guest home for my family. No HOA, no fees, no people pretending ownership through signatures that were never theirs. Just peace, just home, the place I was always meant to return to. And every time I walk the property line, I feel gratitude, not for what was taken from me, but for what I learned defending it. Because sometimes losing time isn't a loss. Sometimes stepping away shows you who was waiting to strike. And sometimes, when you come back stronger, you don't just reclaim what's yours. You end up with more than you ever expected.